When a major disaster strikes, the immediate physical damage is only the first layer of the crisis. Within days, businesses face a secondary blow. Baseline operations are wiped out, revenue drops to zero, and the cash required to survive vanishes. To prevent widespread economic collapse in these zones, the U.S. Small Business Administration deploys the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, or EIDL, program. This is the government's primary mechanism to inject direct working capital into struggling businesses. The legislative ceiling for these loans is substantial. By law, a single business can access up to $2 million to replace the exact shortfall of funds it would have generated if the disaster had never occurred. The terms are heavily subsidized. Interest rates are fixed as low as 4%, there are no prepayment penalties, and repayment schedules can extend up to 30 years. The first payment is typically deferred for an entire year. But the scale of a nationwide or regional disaster creates an immediate operational bottleneck. The moment a declaration goes live, the SBA's Office of Disaster Assistance is hit with hundreds of thousands of applications, creating an unmanageable backlog. Because of anti-fraud measures and limited federal staffing, businesses applying for maximum tier funding routinely wait 8 to 10 months just to clear the underwriting process. This creates a dangerous paradox for business owners. The capital is affordable and available, but the bureaucratic friction is intense enough that the business will likely face a liquidity crisis long before the government cuts the check. Navigating this environment requires abandoning the standard approach of simply filling out online forms. Securing maximum funding requires a specialized pre-underwriting strategy. This is the operational void filled by the SBA Disaster Loan Agency, a specialized consulting entity built to act as an analytical bridge between the applicant and the federal underwriting system. The SBA Disaster Loan Agency is a private, nonprofit corporation, legally distinct from the federal U.S. Small Business Administration. The agency's name is derived directly from the Standard Government Compensation Agreement, SBA Form 159D, which explicitly designates authorized representatives who assist in the application process. Rather than relying on public-facing automated portals, the agency leverages direct insider expertise to manage the file. They take over the entire lifecycle of the application, including initial portal execution, gathering tax documentation, modeling the loan amount, ensuring funding compliance, and handling all post-closing record-keeping. A standard applicant navigating the disaster credit management system alone often encounters continuous requests for redundant documents and vague portal status updates. The agency approaches the system with the exact language and formatting the Federal Processing Center expects. To secure maximum capital without stalling in the system, a business operates through an institutional proxy that speaks the native language of federal underwriters. This split-screen chart illustrates the operational logic of the SBA's internal system, a bifurcated underwriting algorithm. They divide applications into two distinct processing protocols. Phase 1 processing is engineered for speed, deploying immediate working capital to businesses that apply within a strict 120-day window following the disaster incident. Because the priority is rapid deployment, a Phase 1 file explicitly bypasses the requirement for a complex needs analysis. Instead, the government allocates capital using a rigid mathematical formula: normal annual sales multiplied by the normal gross margin percentage, divided by 12, and then multiplied by 4. But this speed comes with a limitation. Phase 1 eligibility is restricted by a hard legislative cap of $300,000. The Phase 1 track is mathematically straightforward, but a $300,000 cap cannot solve the liquidity crises faced by larger enterprises with massive overhead. By relying on a standard gross margin based on pre-disaster performance, the system avoids time-consuming financial forecasting. If a business requests more than $300,000, applies past the 120-day window, or submits a request for a loan increase, the application is triggered into Phase 2 processing. In this environment, underwriters discard the standard gross margin metric entirely and shift to calculating the modified contribution margin. The modified contribution margin, or MCM, subtracts the cost of goods sold from total sales during the injury period and compares it to the normal period. This measures the shortfall of funds the business would have normally generated to pay its fixed costs. This initiates the needs analysis phase, a federal mandate to calculate the precise working capital shortfall essential to the business. To find this number, underwriters hunt for cash diversions, identifying extraordinary items, frozen receivables, frozen inventory, and accelerated debt. This level of financial auditing is the reason Phase 2 files stall in the Processing and Disbursement Center for 8 to 10 months. Ultimately, the final approved loan amount is strictly restricted by statute to the lesser of the identified operational needs or the calculated economic injury. Uploading raw tax transcripts into the government portal leads to delays. To secure maximum capital, the Phase 2 algorithms must be mathematically pre-modeled before the application is submitted. This flowchart represents the actual internal progression a file survives inside the SBA to receive funding. By mapping their internal pre-processing directly to these specific federal review notes, the SBA Disaster Loan Agency eliminates friction before the government processor opens the file. The agency's efficiency comes from its origins. It is operated by ex-federal employees who understand the exact document tolerances required by the system. Their executive teams serve directly within the SBA's Processing and Disbursement Center in Fort Worth, Texas, specifically handling disaster operations. This staff includes former case managers, paralegals, processors, and SBA management personnel who spent years inside the federal infrastructure. Their intervention goes beyond securing the initial capital, providing full lifecycle management for the life of the loan. This includes executing post-funding operations like payment deferments, calculating complex loan increase requests under Phase 2 protocols, and managing collateral liquidations. The agency deploys an internal architecture that mirrors the government's own evaluation model, pre-underwriting the data to ensure strict compliance and force approval. Yet a critical threat remains. Even with insider-grade pre-underwriting, the scale of the federal backlog ensures Phase 2 processing will still take months. To prevent collapse while waiting, the SBA Disaster Loan Agency facilitates a bridge funding program. This interim capital provides a critical lifeline while federal assistance clears. The agency coordinates rapid funding through a banking partner, offering it free to clients while the primary loan processes. This interim capital covers immediate fixed costs, sustaining baseline operations, and ensuring the business can make payroll through the bureaucratic delay. True disaster recovery demands two synchronized actions: immediate liquidity to keep the doors open today, and flawlessly underwritten federal capital to rebuild the balance sheet tomorrow. The economics of this private, nonprofit agency are highly specific. They do not operate on public funding, and they do not solicit or accept public donations. Fees are exclusively charged to clients undergoing Phase 2 processing for maximum tier loans between $1 million and $2 million. Outside of that top tier, the agency provides its processing and application assistance free of charge to smaller businesses and individual disaster victims. They maintain open access to resources, including downloadable templates and standardized forms, designed to ensure error-free data entry into the federal system. They also facilitate broader community support by running the Disaster Assistance Network on the B2B platform Alignable. To access forms, secure Phase 2 underwriting guidance, or initiate bridge funding, visit their website directly or search for SBA Disaster Loan Agency, Biloxi, Mississippi. Securing maximum disaster capital is an exercise in precise, insider-grade financial engineering.